Do you need more energy, or are you struggling with brain fog? Just talking to your phone, verbal commands, will make life so much easier. I'm Annie, and I make videos about practical ways to live with chronic illness. I fill in the gap between what your doctor tells you and what real life is like. It's the how-to. Maybe you've tried verbal commands before and they didn't really go anywhere, or you've just never tried them. Either way, I'll show you how simple and effective they are. And at the end, I'll touch on any privacy concerns as well. Getting started is easy. You just turn on a couple of things in settings. I've set out the steps in the description. To give you a taste of it, I'd like to show you two of my favorite commands. And the first one is when you've lost your phone. If you just say, "Hey Siri, where are you?"
I'm over here.
Then you can locate your phone, and you can keep saying it until you've actually found it. And just a tip, if you find that the phone seems to be moving and following you around, it could well be because it's in your back pocket. I've been caught with that one a couple of times. This command is brilliant when you're tired and wanting to go to bed and you can't find your phone, or you're rushing to go out and you can't find your phone. It just reduces the frustration. And the second command I use a lot is to say, "Hey Siri, stop." And with this, your iPhone will immediately stop what it's doing, whether it's playing music, YouTube video, or an alarm. I use it when I go to sleep. I've been listening to something and then I just almost at sleep just say, "Hey Siri, stop." And with alarms, once you've heard the alarm, you don't need it anymore. So stopping it makes life calm, all without having to actually find your phone. And now let's get into the other commands. And probably one of the most useful things is to send messages and emails. For messages, just say, "Hey Siri, send a message to Annie."
What do you want to say to Annie?
"Hi Annie, sorry, running 20 minutes late. See you soon."
It says, "Hi Annie, sorry, running 20 minutes late. See you soon." Send it.
Send it.
Done.
And you can choose whether or not you check it before you send it in the settings. And just a tip, if you've got contacts with similar names, it helps Siri to distinguish them. So, for example, Tony brother, it will also read back to you the last message, which again is really useful when you hear a message come in, you can't find your phone or your hands are busy doing something. "Hey Siri, read the last message."
You have recent messages from Annie. Annie said, "Hi Annie, sorry, running 20."
Your phone can make phone calls for you. And when you've finished, you can tell it to hang up and it will end the call. So that you can actually make phone calls and talk to people without having to find your phone. And if you're really tired and lying down in bed, it is so much easier. There's also a number of other things that your iPhone does that you can now do verbally. I'm going to go through a selection of the ones I use, but there are many others to explore. Pretty well anything your phone does, you can ask it to do verbally. Here are my favourite. You can set alarms and timers. So for example, if you're cooking, you're boiling an egg, you might say, "Hey Siri, set an alarm for 6 minutes." The other way I really find the alarms particularly useful is I tend to get caught up in things and forget things. And so every morning I sit down with my diary and what's going to happen that day in my phone, and I set alarms for everything. That way I don't miss anything at all. And because it's so easy to turn off the alarm, they're not really intrusive. The second one is you can add to reminders. So you can set up lists in your Apple reminders for things like shopping, questions you're going to ask your doctor, a to-do list. And then you can say to Siri, "Hey Siri, add Ginger to my shopping list," and it will do it. "Hey Siri, add contact John to the doctor's reminder list."
Okay, I've added contact John to the doctor's list. Let me know if you'd like to add a time or location. You can say something like, "Set it for when I leave here."
And the advantage of this is that when you think of something, you've got a way of recording it before you forget about it. And you can do it in the middle of the night if you wake up. You've suddenly thought of something you want to explore or do the next day that you've forgotten about. Really easy. And then of course you can ask Siri to play music or podcasts in either Spotify or Apple Music. "Hey Siri, play Mozart on Spotify."
Now playing This Is Mozart on Spotify. You can always ask me to switch to a different app. Your choices will help me learn the ones you like. You can ask for a particular piece of music, a type of music, particular composer or performer. You can ask Siri
information questions.
Hey Siri, what time is it?
It's 11:22 a.m.
Hey Siri, will it rain today?
It might rain in the early evening starting at 1800 hours, with rain continuing into the evening.
Sometimes when it's complicated, it will just throw up the screen and you have to read it. But for the simpler questions, it just gives you verbal answers. Again, you don't need to find your phone. And then coming back to practical ones, you can tell it to adjust the volume. Hey Siri, reduce the volume or increase it. And if you're going to sleep, you might be listening, say, to a YouTube video and just want to have the volume a little bit softer than usual. Unlike the other commands, it does take a few seconds to figure out how to do it. And when you're asleep at night and you want to go to the bathroom, it is so easy to say,
Hey Siri, turn on torch.
Okay, I've turned torch on.
Then you've got your little torch, you go to the bathroom, you don't wake yourself up with a big light. And when you're back in bed,
Hey Siri, turn off torch.
Okay.
and then the next one is one of the ones I think is so good. And that is, Hey Siri, take a screenshot. Now for that, your phone is going to have to be open at something and it's usually in your hand. But it is so fiddly to click those two buttons. Whereas this way you can say, Hey Siri, take a screenshot and store it in photos. Hey Siri, take a screenshot and email it. And then when you've got to fill out a form or somebody wants somebody's phone number,
Hey Siri, what's Annie's phone number?
Anna's phone number is 04.
and there you are. What's their details? And you get the phone number and the address. The last one of these particular commands I want to talk about is the Do Not Disturb command. And it's something I've started to use a lot more over the last couple of weeks. And what I do is in the morning I get up and I check messages and emails and I get my breakfast. Then I sit down and I say, Hey Siri, turn on Do Not Disturb. And for the next hour, I have time to myself. Wonderful. And of course, with the Do Not Disturb function, you can always set it up that important people can still call you. If you have an illness where it's important that you rest at certain times, again, this is a really easy way to get complete undisturbed rest. Each of these commands that I've talked about makes life easier and reduces frustration. But the real power of them is the cumulative effect. If you start really using all these verbal commands, it will become automatic. And over the course of a day, you save energy and concentration. And these are just some of the commands. Once you've got the hang of these, then start to experiment with what else you can do. It might surprise you. What about privacy? Am I giving away all my secrets if I set this up? Well, no. With modern iPhones, they just listening for the phrase, Hey Siri. They're not listening to all your conversation. And it's rather like when you're out and there's a whole hub of conversation going on around you, but you will hear your name. Having said that, if you are using the dictation facility on the phone, Apple will, from time to time, take portions of your dictated material and store it attached to your phone number. And this is to allow them to check the accuracy of their decoding. But the person that looks at the accuracy doesn't know where the messages are from. And if you really don't like it, you can turn this off in settings. The other privacy concern is that if your phone is locked and you lose it, someone could take a lucky guess at your contact name. For example, hey, ring Michael, may well on a lot of phones come up with a Michael, but I'm not quite sure why they would do it. The other thing they can do is ask Siri to play the last message on a locked phone. But if that worries you, you can change it so you can't do that on a locked phone, but that just makes Siri a little bit less useful. But I have never heard of this actually happening. I think thieves are much more interested in wiping and selling the phone. So now you've seen what verbal commands can do. Why don't you try them and give them a go for about a week so you get comfortable with it? And I think you'll be sold. And as I said earlier, when you're comfortable, then start experimenting and find out how much of your life you can so easily manage with your voice. And if you've enjoyed this video, you might enjoy this video on armchair travel with life cams. Thank you.